Hey guys, Jason Creel, and this is the Lawn Care Life. Today I am going through 10 customer stereotypes. People in the line business are probably going to be able to relate to a lot of these. And I've got a special guest here. What we're going to do, we're going to not rank them in order, but we're going to give them a score on a scale of 1 to 10 of whether or not you would take this as a customer or not. So you can play along at home. 1 being no, I don't want anything to do with that customer. 10 being yes, that's my ideal customer. Please send me hundreds more of those. So that's what we're going to do. Let's get started right now. I'm here at the 2022 Hype House with Jeremiah Jennings. The Hype House is brought to us by the Entrepreneur Academy, which is Brian Fullerton's resources. You can go check that out, as well as Caleb and Brittany Ullman have the Hardscape Academy. If you want to learn to be a hardscaper, go check out their resources. So we're talking about finding your ideal lawn care client. I'm not sure on my list of 10 options here there's going to be an ideal one, but some are better than others. And you know, then there are customers that you just don't want anything to do with, and then there's other ones you're like, wow, I wish all my customers were like that. You know, leave you $100 tip at the end of the year, never complain, tell you how great you are. So anyway, we're gonna just give them a score, 1 to 10. 1 being won't take them at all, 10 being that's the ideal customer. All right, number 1. Old lady who wants to talk to you for 10 minutes every time you're there.
That's a good one. That is a really good one. Hopefully we're talking over the saw in the background. They got a new construction next door, and it's been crazy construction the whole week long ever since we've been here. But interact in the comments. If you want to vote your own answer, what your ranking would be, leave it down below in the comments so we can go through and read these comments, because I'm interested to see what y'all's opinions are on these customers as well. So number 1, I think that would be probably like a, I don't know, it just depends, 6 or 7 maybe. There's good things and bad things to it. By sitting out there and talking to her when you're there, you build that relationship. I have some customers like that, and I know that those customers will never drop me. I will be dead and in the grave before they drop me as their customer. There's nothing that I could do almost. I mean, unless I just stole money from them or something, there's nothing I could do to for them to drop me from their yard. That's how confident I am in that. And I think a lot of that relationship has been built by standing outside the extra 5 to 10 minutes after we mow and just talking every single time we're out there. It all depends on what kind of yard it is, though. That yard is very profitable for me. We spend a good amount of time there. We charge the right rates. So if you're running through neighborhood yards and you're like, you have 10 in a row right there and you need to get boom, boom, boom through them, you're only charging $35, $40 per cut. You don't have time to sit there and talk for 10 minutes literally every time. You could be halfway through the next yard. So all depends on your situation. We've already talked about that while we've been down here at the Hype House. All these questions are something that it's hard to find a question that it has a broad answer that covers the whole spectrum. Other than like know your numbers, that's a broad question that everyone needs that answer. They should know your numbers. But it all depends on your market, depends on what kind of yard you're doing. That customer would be probably a 6 to 7 for me.
Number 2 is the customer who refuses to pick up their kids' toys in the backyard. Every time you go to their house, you got to spend 3 or 4 minutes picking up Nerf balls and all that. You know, you've seen those kind of things. Yeah.
So that would be, I would say that would be a 3 or a 4 for me. It could be a 6. It just depends. They have to be paying the right rates though. If they want to leave their toys out, that's fine by me, but I'll be charging them to pick those toys up while I'm there. I'm not going to go mow that yard for the same rate I'll mow the neighbor's yard for and not have to pick up toys. So if you're going to spend an extra 5 to 10 minutes picking up those toys, you better charge for your time in those extra 5 to 10 minutes, and you better make that clear with them. And if they refuse to pay, then that's a 0 for me. I just move on, and we don't need to fool with that customer.
Is that something you would maybe have a conversation with a customer about? Be like, hey, you know, every time I come out,
yes,
I'm coming every Thursday. Will you please make sure on Wednesday y'all don't have a Nerf?
Yeah, and I would be lenient. I would say, yeah, that Nerf was a different story. If you're picking up Nerf bullets, that's totally different than like picking up a big ball or something. So it all depends. Again, broad questions, hard. It all depends on what the situation is. But I would be lenient. I would say, could you please get this stuff picked up? If they do it and if we give 2 or 3 times down the road and they don't pick it up, I'm going to say, all right, we're going to start charging for this. And if they just say, all right, charge for it, we're not picking it up, then I'll charge my rate. And if they don't pay that, then we just quit coming. We won't service that client anymore.
All right, what about number 3, a tiny yard that's very profitable. So let's say you're in and out in 15 minutes, you know, and it pays well, but it's 8 minutes from your next nearest customer. Are you willing to drive 8 minutes for a small property
That's tough. I actually have one of those. I have that exact situation. I have a property that takes me 10 minutes to mow it. I'm unloaded and loaded again in 10 minutes, and I walk away with $55 in my hand. So it's very profitable. It's a very profitable yard, but I have to drive a little bit out of the way. It's kind of out of the route on the way to my next one. I've kept it up to this point. I think if you have an established route that you can kind of loop it in there, I think that would be okay to drive that extra 8 to 10 minutes if you're making the profits you need to be making. But for me, I'm shrinking my route, so I'm probably going to end up dropping that client because they're not going to be in my service area anymore. But that's it. Again, just depends on how far out of the route. 8 minutes depends on if you're going 8 minutes literally out of the way, or if you can loop that 8 minutes in and make a big circle or something. So it just depends.
Yeah, I would think too, if you had 3 guys riding in the truck with you, 8 minutes is a little bit more than if you were just solo. And
yeah.
if you were just starting out in business and you think, hey, I just need to work, or,
Yep.
or whether or not you already had a real established.
I would say that customer is probably a 5 for me.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be my ideal.
All right, number 4. This customer is a good customer overall, but at least twice a year they ask you, would you mind skipping my yard this time? I don't think it needs it that bad. Do you let people skip, and how would that play?
Yeah, I actually have some of those too. These are I think you went through my clientele list and picked these questions out. Yeah, I have some of those. It depends on what time of the year it is. We're kind of weeding those clients out. I don't really want them in my business. I would say that's probably a 4 for me. I don't want them. Some of them I might do. I mean, if they're profitable the whole rest of the year, and it depends on what you mean by skipping your yard. Am I skipping it in July when it's raining and growing inches every day, or is it August, at the end of August, when it's a drought and everything's brown and it's not growing? So that's another factor there. But if we're skipping in July and it's raining and it's hot and it's growing an inch every day, no way. I'm not keeping that customer. But if we're in August and it's drought and don't really need to be mowing anyway, then yeah, we'll factor those in. That's still probably be a 4 or 5 for me.
All right, number 5. It's a person that elderly person potentially, but they always peeking through their window blinds, looking at you while you do everything. It's kind of like, do they not trust you, or what's going on with it? The window peeker.
I would say I'm okay with that. Sometimes I could be a 6. I mean, it wouldn't be my ideal, but I could be a 6 because we have some of those. They need to make themselves clear though. What are they looking at? We have a customer. She just likes watching us. She just genuinely likes watching. She comes out there and she's like, look, I don't care what you do. I'm not worried about you messing up my yard. I just like being, and sometimes she'll walk out there and be outside while we're mowing. She just likes being outside and seeing what's being done because her yard is her pride and joy. So she trusts us 100%. She doesn't care if we mess up. Like that's not a thing. So I know she doesn't have bad intentions by it. So I'm okay with it.
All right, number 6. You have a customer, they always pay you, but they're almost always late on paying you. You constantly have to text them to remind them to
That's
pay.
a 0. That's a 0. I'm done with those.
Okay.
If you're late getting paid, end it. See ya.
All right. I might give it a 1, but I'm in between 0 and 1.
Yeah, maybe a 0.5.
Yeah,
I'll give it a half. Yeah.
All right, number 7. This customer tells you how to cut the grass. They come out there and you're mowing it, and they're saying, oh no, I like mine cut on,
Nope, that is a 1.5 to a 2 for me. I don't put up with that. We had customers come out and try to teach us how to edge. She thought she knew how to edge better than we did. She tried taking the weed eater from me and flipping it up and edging the sidewalk. Yeah. That does not go over well. That might be a 1 for me, seriously.
I had one lady, she told me that if you were edging with a weed eater, it wasn't edging.
Yep.
That wasn't technically edging. So.
Yeah.
All right, number 8. 3 dogs in the backyard and they never clean up the poop, so it's a little bit of a excess, not just crazy, but excessive, and they never address the issue.
Depends on how you're mowing. If you're mowing on a 0 turn or a stand on, it's a 4 for me. If you're push mowing it, it's a 1. It's a half to a 1. I'm not stepping in that crap, walking over. I mean, if I'm weed eating the fence line, I can kind of tiptoe around the edge and not to get in it, but if I'm push mowing that, that's a 0 to a 1 right there.
All right, number 9, the hilly yard that you can't get your 0 turn on because it's too hilly and requires pushing.
Yeah, that's a big one. In our area, we have a lot of those. I'm not gonna. Again, profitability. If you charge the right rates and they pay for it, it could be a 7 for me. If you don't want to pay for it, it could be a 3. I don't know. Actually, it might not give it above a 6 because I just hate doing it. I don't want to go out there and weed eat a hill. But if I'm making the right rates, that helps. That helps me get through it.
Last one, this customer leaves you a generous Christmas tip every year, end of year tip, but they also a regular complainer.
Yeah, depends on complaints, depends on what the complaints are. I honestly would probably say a 6, because that tip isn't going to go very far. Those complaints are going to be, if they're recurring complaints, don't want to put up with that. I don't want to hear something every time we're out there if we mess up, or you left a blade of grass sitting on the driveway or anything like that. So that tip would be nice, but at the end of the day, it just feels like they would be paying for what they feel like they'd be trying to make up for their complaints, because they probably know they complain. So they're just like, oh, I want him to like me. We're going to give him a tip at the end of the year.
All right, appreciate Jeremiah being with us. You can follow his podcast, Growing Green Landscaping, on the podcast platforms, also on Instagram, YouTube, other social media.
Yeah.
So check him out there. And appreciate you guys watching the video. If you want to leave a comment, maybe you can comment on these 10, but you probably have some more ideas of ones we left out. So
maybe we make a new video.
That's right, video number 2.
Yeah.
So appreciate you guys watching. We'll talk to you later.
See
Bye.
ya.